Hi guys, welcome back to JML Fitness. It is Tech Tuesday and today I'm going to be showing you this £99 action camera and comparing it to the much more expensive GoPro Hero 11. Alright, let's jump straight in. So just to be upfront, the manufacturer XTU did send me this action camera for free, but as you will probably find out in this video, I am not beholden to them. I can say whatever I want about this camera. This is not an advert, this is just me telling you what I think of this camera. To be honest, my thoughts when they reached out to me were this is probably going to be a bit rubbish, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So let's see if it actually is. So first up, in terms of specs, this only records up to 4K 30, which is a bit behind the standards of today. Most cameras today go up to 4K 60 or even a bit higher. This GoPro, for example, goes up to 5.3K at 60 FPS. So for £99, obviously you're not going to get the same sort of resolution that you would for a camera that costs 4 times as much. And throughout this video, I'm just going to keep reminding you that it is a camera that is like a lot cheaper. £99 compared to about £400 for a proper GoPro. So when I was flicking through the included booklet, I found that it is not actually waterproof, which was a big disappointment. On their Amazon page and on their box, it does show a lot of water sports, so I did just sort of assume that this camera would be waterproof, but it is not. So in the box, it comes with a waterproof housing, which is kind of important. However, when I had a look at the quality of this housing, I was a bit dubious. When I first opened it up, the little rubber seal which goes around the door kind of fell off, so I was not impressed by this at all. If it's going to protect the camera from water, this little rubber seal should be kind of sturdy. I wish they spent like the tiny bit of money it would have cost to like glue that in place rather than just having it flopping around. To be honest, I'm not sure whether I'd trust this waterproof housing to actually do its job. In the box, there were loads of mounts and accessories, which was nice to see. Companies like GoPro always make you spend a lot of money on their accessories, so it's nice to see a box full of mounts and stuff. Alright, so first things first, let's test out the battery life. To be fair, I set both cameras to 4K 60 FPS and just let them record until they died. I wasn't expecting much here, but to my surprise, the GoPro was the first camera to die after just 21 minutes. The XTU survived for much longer, surviving up until about 51 minutes, which was pretty impressive to be honest. This is a very good start for the £99 camera. So what happened here is the GoPro turned off because it was overheating. I'm not going to make any excuses for GoPro here. They should be able to make a camera which doesn't overheat, especially considering how expensive it is. So yeah, definitely not ideal. 1 point for the XTU. I decided to redo the test in a much colder environment, which is the fridge. So I set up the experiment again and left them running. This time the XTU died after the exact same amount of time, 51 minutes, but the GoPro continued on much longer to 1 hour and 21 minutes. So in a cooler environment, the GoPro definitely wins in terms of battery life. So these results are a bit weird. The GoPro definitely has better battery life when it's able to keep itself cool, but does suffer at the same time from some major overheating problems. If you're considering getting a GoPro, you definitely need to consider the environment in which you're going to be recording. If the GoPro has some sort of airflow over it, it is normally fine. I've had this camera getting on 2 years now, and whenever I use it outside on my bike or mounted on my body, for example, there is no problem whatsoever. As long as there's a breeze going over it, it will be absolutely fine. However, if you're more into just recording static scenes like on a tripod or something, to be honest, I wouldn't recommend the GoPro. It is an action camera for a reason. It is meant to be moving around, capturing cool things, not just sitting on a tripod. But still, good job for the XTU for not overheating. I have to give them some credit there. I reckon that is because this is not completely waterproof, which means there's little holes in it which allow the heat to escape, whereas the GoPro is completely sealed. Alright, let's move on to the main event, which is the video quality, of course. If you're buying an action camera, obviously you want to get some pretty sick shots. So let's see how they both fare. First, I decided to take some indoor shots. This was in quite a dimly lit room, and to be honest, I wasn't impressed with either of them. Both of them are very dim and have a lot of noise. Both cameras are set to their max quality. The XTU is at 4K 30 and the GoPro is at 5K 60. I was actually quite impressed with how the XTU manages to hold up in comparison to the GoPro. The conditions were quite challenging. It is very dark and action cameras are known for not being that good in low light. You can see the difference in that the GoPro is a bit brighter, but to be honest, I don't think the quality difference is enough to justify the 4 times price disparity. Alright, let's move on. So if you're buying an action camera, you're definitely not going to be using it for those sort of shots which I just showed you. You're going to be strapping it to yourself and getting something cooler. So I decided to head outside. I attached both of these cameras to my chest mount and went for a bike ride. I thought it makes more sense to do a mountain bike ride because you'll get lots of bumps and stuff, and it'll be a good chance to test out the image stabilization on both these cameras. So before you all judge me, I have zero mountain biking skills. So if you expect me to be shredding these trails, then you are going to be in for disappointment. I am just going very slow here, trying not to crash. On the tarmac road before the trails, the footage is quite smooth from both cameras. Again, both cameras are set to their highest quality settings with their max amount of stabilization. For some reason, the XTU is significantly darker here. It was an overcast day, but the GoPro is a lot brighter and much closer to how the scene looked in real life. Once we hit the slightly bumpy trails, the stabilization from the GoPro really starts to shine. The GoPro footage is much smoother. You can clearly make out the trees and the details on the trail. The XTU footage, on the other hand, really isn't good. It's very dark and washed out, and the stabilization seems like it really isn't doing that much. The footage is very jerky and just not nice to look at. If we pause, you can really see the difference in quality. Everything on the GoPro side is relatively clear, but the XTU is just dark and blurry. Let's talk about the audio. Because the XTU isn't waterproof, it has to go inside its waterproof housing, which obviously blocks the microphones. And given that we are in England and it could start chucking it down at any moment, I only felt comfortable using this with the waterproof housing on. So because it needs the waterproof case, the audio is very washed out and just is pretty terrible, to be honest. I know most of this ride is just the sound of the bike's free hub, but the one time I do talk, listen to the difference.
Ah, painful. Painful. Right, let's get back on it. I hate stinging nettles. I hate stinging nettles.
The GoPro sounds loud and clear, and the XTU is just muffled and it legit sounds horrible. It is also a lot quieter. So that's it. I could have gone and taken this camera out and tested it in loads of different scenarios, but to be honest, I don't think I would have learnt much else, so I didn't bother. Overall, would I recommend getting this XTU £99 action camera? The answer is obviously no. The image quality when you get into more challenging situations is just not good enough in this day and age, and the audio quality is just downright terrible. If I had bought this with my own money, I definitely would have returned it because, to be honest, for £99, this is just not good enough, to be honest. I really don't see the point of this camera. The whole point of action cameras is they're supposed to be rugged and able to survive a bit of abuse. There's no situation where I would rather use the £99 XTU rather than just getting out my phone, because this is not waterproof, so I can't use it in any situations where it's going to get wet. My phone is waterproof, and to be honest, it's just a lot better in terms of picture quality. So very disappointing from XTU. The only advantage this has over my phone is that it can be mounted to things, but when it gets mounted to things, you have to put the waterproof housing on, and then the audio quality is terrible. So instead, would I recommend spending 4 times the price and getting a GoPro instead? To be honest, the answer is no as well. I think for most of us, you don't need the latest GoPro. The best way is to go for one which is a few generations old and just get it secondhand off eBay or something. You'll be getting like 95% of the image quality for about half the price. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you found this video useful, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. All right, peace out.